Hello everyone, I'm Seahawk Tice, and on July 25th, I pushed my Pam to rank 35 in Solo Showdown. In this video, I will be giving you all of the tips and tricks you will need to push rank 35 with Pam in Solo Showdown for yourself. This video might be a bit long, so the timestamps will be in the description. Just a disclaimer, if you hate teaming, this probably isn't the guide for you. In the past, I've attempted to push a rank 35 without teaming using bush camping and only got to rank 32. Bush camping and playing aggro can be great strategies when pushing your brawler to rank 30, but teaming is the only consistent strategy anywhere above 1000 trophies. Let's start with what star power or gadget you should have on your Pam before you start your push. Now obviously right now Pam only has one gadget, but the gadget is a must-have. It saves you from so many sticky situations, and it's just extra healing that you could be missing out on if you didn't have it. As for star powers, I would recommend Mama's Hug. I've always found healing to be the most important thing in Solo Showdown when you're pushing Pam, because you only have one chance, unlike 8-bit or B. Additionally, I've never really found viable use for the Mama Squeeze star power, mostly because it's very situational. If you don't have at least the gadget, I would actually not recommend attempting to push Pam, because without her gadget she's pretty useless. I've seen some Pams do really well without a star power, but I would really suggest that you have both the Pulse Modulator gadget and the Mama's Hug star power before you start your push. As for the maps you want to push your Pam in, you typically want maps that are more open and have less bushes in them. I will list the best maps for Pam in order of the Showdown rotation. These maps are Victor Valley, Safety Center, Clash Coliseum, Riverside Ring, Shadow Spirits, Treasure Hunt, Eggshell, 2000 Lakes, Will of the Wisp, and Dark Passage. I personally avoid all of the maps with the energy drink and robo modifiers because I feel like they're very heavily RNG based. Even though the Meteor Shower and Healing Mushroom maps are random, they don't really mess you up too bad. I didn't include, for example, Cavern Churn in these maps because there are far too many bushes and this can leave you vulnerable to tanks and bow. For me personally, I pushed to 1000 trophies on Safety Center. I pushed from 1000 to 1100 on Riverside Ring, 1100 to 1200 on Eggshell, and the final 50 trophies on Dark Passage. The map rotation that I listed should be active all the way through Season 2. Now let's go over the most controversial topic of the video, teaming. When people mention that they push with teaming, most people think of those clips on Reddit or YouTube where 8 people are all teamed up together. And though this is the case sometimes, most of the time it's not. You ideally want to find 1 or 2 people that will help you kill everyone else in the lobby and guarantee yourself top placement. The most ideal brawlers to team with when you're playing Pam are other Pams, 8-bit, B, Jean, and Carl. Other brawlers that you can team with but are not as ideal are Surge, Leon, Tara, Gale, Max, and Crow. These brawlers are not as ideal because they are all hard counters to Pam, and if you end up in the late game with these brawlers, they will most likely not give you the best placement. These brawlers are also the most likely to backstab you in the mid game. The only reason I would team with these brawlers is because I can't find a better teammate or I am way stronger than them. You can also wait until they're low health and try to team with them so that they stay more loyal to you. At 1200 trophies, you only gain trophies if you get first or second place, so thinking about who you team with is crucial. If you have better options for teammates that will guarantee yourself top 3 placement, I would go for that. Now let's talk about the early game. The early game is one of the most important phases of Solo Showdown. The choices you make in the early game can determine whether or not you win or lose the game. Before you even grab the boxes, look around and see who's spawned around you. If I spawn near another Pam or an 8-bit, I will always try to team with them. If I spawn near anyone else, I only try to team with them if they are the first person to spin. With the only exception being if that brawler is Surge. In fact, for me personally, if I spawn next to Surge, I run the opposite direction. With that noted, you and your potential teammate may run towards the middle to find more teammates and get more boxes. It's in this position where the most important decisions have to be made. For this to be as simple as possible, I'll split this into 3 scenarios. The first scenario is if you and your teammate or teammates are the first to reach the middle. In this situation, you can decide to either be greedy or share when it comes to the boxes in the middle. My rule of thumb for this is if you have one teammate, share the boxes. If you have two or more teammates, I usually play greedy for the boxes. And when I say that you should play greedy for the boxes, I mean that you should position yourself in a way that will claim you the most boxes. You should never have to attack your teammates for extra boxes. I'll show you some examples of how to position yourself to get the most boxes later. The next scenario is if another brawler or team contests the center against your team. If your teammate decides to chase them, I would take as many boxes in the center as I can before helping my teammate out. If your teammate decides to be greedy for the boxes in the middle, I would usually back off the middle so that the other contesting brawler will target my teammate, forcing my teammate to back off with a lot less power cubes. If there's a team contesting the middle, however, I will usually help my teammate out rather than run away because having a whole team take over the middle can be bad for the middle game and late game. The final scenario is if a heavy brawler contests the middle like Jackie, BB, or El Primo. The brawlers I listed above are all really good at claiming a large amount of boxes in the middle because they all have piercing attacks. I've had countless teammates try to contest these brawlers and end up dying. The best thing to do in this situation is back off and try to charge your super off of them. If they're ever at low health, you can try to chase them for the kill. Now, I've mentioned 3 scenarios involving teammates, but what if you couldn't find one? The best thing you can do is get as many boxes in the middle as you can and then fall back in the direction where you spawned. If you end up teaming with someone afterwards, good. If not, you can either bush camp for 5th place or keep looking for more teammates. By this point, you should have hopefully found a team and you guys start picking off the weaker solo brawlers. What happens if you come in contact with a strong brawler or team? Before the fight even initiates, you want to position yourself in the spot where you think you will take the least amount of damage. Put your teammates at risk, not yourself. Additionally, you don't want to be useless to your team in a big fight. You deciding to participate in the fight can usually determine whether or not your team will win the fight. If you're not in the best position, stay out of range of the brawlers and try to reposition yourself safely. If you and your team are the last people standing, one of 2 things will happen. The first thing that may happen is a huge free-for-all. To survive this situation, you just want to be ganging on the person that's being shot at the most and using your super to block shots. If you're the one being ganged on, the best thing you can do is try to target the weakest brawler in the team. If you get them low enough, there's a possibility that they can backstab them. The second situation that can happen is when the alpha of the team targets one person at a time. I'll get into what being the alpha of the team is later. Backstabbing can be a tough decision to make in the middle of the game. Backstabbing can give you extra power cubes, but it can also leave you with one less person to help you out later. There's only one form of backstabbing that I use, and that's to finish off my teammates when they're low. You should never try to initiate a backstab when your teammate is at full health unless you have another teammate to help you out. A rule of thumb I have for backstabbing is to never backstab if you only have one teammate. You may have seen in a previous game that I showed in this video where I was teamed with a Max and a Frank. The Max was at about 100 health and I decided to not backstab him. The reason I did this was because backstabbing the Max would leave me with only the Frank as my teammate, and having a short-range brawler against a lot of longer-range brawlers is never good. If you have more than one teammate, then backstabbing is an okay move to make as long as your other teammates are actually being useful. The only reason I would ever backstab my only teammate is if there's only one other brawler left and I know that I can take them on in the 1v1. The alpha of the team is the person that calls all of the plays for everyone on the team. The title usually goes to the person with the most power cubes on the team. The alpha is the most powerful when the only people standing in the game are your own teammates. If everyone is playing passive, you can be the alpha and target one person to let everyone know that you want to kill that person. The person you first want to target is typically the strongest person on the team or the one furthest away from the rest of the team. Once that person is killed, I like to shoot at the first person that tries to pick up the cubes of the brawler that just died. Being the alpha isn't only useful with passive teams. Most people will stay on the side of the brawler with the most cubes so that they don't have to worry as much about being targeted by them later. If you have the most cubes and you start shooting at a teammate, chances are everyone else will follow along. Being the alpha is an incredibly powerful tool that will help you win many more games if you use it right. Being greedy is a very useful strategy, especially if you plan on becoming the alpha of your team later. The first step to playing greedy is to position yourself to take the most boxes when there are more than one box in the area. As shown here on Treasure Hunt, you don't want to position yourself to get the lower 2 boxes. Instead, you want to position yourself to get the upper 4 boxes, leaving your teammate or teammates with only the 2. The other ways that you can be greedy is by taking the cubes of kills that your team gets. All you want to do for this is position yourself closest to the dying brawler so that when they're finally dead, you're the first to make it there. The final way to be greedy is through the robot and the Angry Robo modifier. Again, you just want to position yourself closest to the robot before it dies so that when it does, you can take all or most of the cubes. The most team-heavy maps are Riverside Ring, Shadow Spirits, Eggshell, and 2000 Lakes. If you don't like team-heavy lobbies, you should avoid these maps. Many surges will try to team with you to charge their super, and then they'll backstab you. Try to avoid teaming with surges at all costs. You can use the spring traps in some robo maps to get the robot off of you in emergencies. This is especially the case in Will of the Wisp. If you have an 8-bit teammate that's low, you can get rid of their extra life and spin so that they know that you still want to team with them. This will help you win the late game most of the time. Don't be afraid to destroy your 8-bit or Pam teammates' supers, especially if they're in the way of a target. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way up until this point. I apologize if this video seems confusing or unorganized. This is my first time making a video like this. I also apologize for not recording any scenarios that I explained. If you guys want more guides on different brawlers in Solo Showdown, I plan on maybe doing one for 8-bit, Surge, Carl, and B. And also possibly Crow and Leon in the future. Comment below if you want me to push any of these brawlers to rank 35, and also comment below if you have any additional questions. Thank you guys very much for watching, and enjoy my rank 35 game.
Every time we say goodbye, they all see that it's a lie. 'Cause we always give it one last try. Yeah, you've watched me break 1,000 times. Now I'm all alone, 'cause you never show. You say you will, but then you don't. That's how it goes. Don't wanna know. I'm turning off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy, happy tonight. For you in the morning, I'ma leave without giving a warning. I'ma leave without giving a. But every time we say goodbye, we all know that it's a lie. Now I'm all alone, 'cause you never show. You say you will, but then you don't. That's how it goes. Don't wanna know. Turning off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy.